morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Butterfre Radio. So today, we need to take a look at another Butterfree. Yeah, Butterfree apparently just keeps coming. Butterfree is not shy and not ignored in the Pokemon trading card game. Butterfree keeps on coming. Except, it's not really Butterfree I want to talk about. Now, don't get me wrong, we're talking Butterfree. Butterfree will be included in this conversation quite a bit. But to start off with, I'm actually far more interested in Caterpie and Metapod. Because you see, Caterpie here, and I should say our translations all come from the lovely David Hockman over at limitlesstcg.com/translations. And we've got a Caterpie here that's got an ability, Adaptive Evolution. This Pokemon can evolve during your first turn or the turn that you play it. Oh, well that sounds quite nice. And actually, while we're here, there is a Metapod that's got the ability Adaptive Evolution. This Pokemon can evolve during your first turn or the turn that you play it. Caterpie's 50 HP is a bit lower than we would like for an evolving basic. And Metapod's 80 HP is slightly lower than we would like for an evolving stage 1. But as soon as we have a look and go, well, hang on a second, we can evolve straight away, then we start getting quite happy quite quickly, because all of a sudden, it doesn't really matter anymore. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, hang on a second, Wassy, haven't we seen this before? Well, kind of. The Caterpie from Unbroken Bonds has the ability Pupate. Once during your turn, you may flip a coin. If heads, search your deck for a card that evolves to this Pokemon and put it onto this Pokemon to evolve it. Then shuffle your deck. Well, that's kind of similar. And actually, while we're here, if we have a look at the Metapod from Unbroken Bonds, we've got the ability Emerge. Once during your turn before you attack, you may flip a coin. If heads, search your deck for a card that evolves from this Pokemon and put it onto that Pokemon to evolve it. Then shuffle your deck. Well, that's kind of similar. And it's on a coin flip, but you do get to do the searching, so it kind of evens out. But if we go back a little bit further in Flashfire, though it did get an exact reprint with just a set symbol changed in generations, we've got a Caterpie with Adaptive Evolution. This Pokemon can evolve during your first turn or the turn that you play it. And yes, for those of you wondering, if we have a look, in Flashfire, reprinted in generations, exactly the same but different set symbol, we've got a Metapod with Adaptive Evolution. Though both this Caterpie and Metapod have 10 more HP than that Caterpie and Metapod. So you know what? We got the same ability, and we got more HP, and let's be clear, right? It is awesome to be able to evolve straight away. It's like having a forest of giant plants, except Forest of Giant Plants got banned for being too good, and you actually had to search out the stadium and put it into play. Here, you don't need to search out the stadium, you don't need to put the stadium into play, you've just always got that ability. And let's be clear, right, abilities of non-GX Pokemon, the only way to turn them off is have a Slacking in the active, which nobody really cares about. There was a time when Slacking with Malamar looked like it might be a really good deck. As it was, Fringe deck, little bit of success here or there, never proved to be particularly good. So you're taking up a lot of space in your deck, and having to take up the space in your deck is kind of annoying. But outside of that, this is really good. It means you can get a Butterfree going turn 1. You can literally go first, and though you can't attack, you can get a Butterfree going turn 1 going first. You could potentially get multiple going. This is lovely. The question then really becomes, well, hang on a second. What Butterfrees do we have? Now, we've actually got 3, including this new one. We'll start off having a little bit of a look at the new one. 140 HP is low, but it's actually higher than the other Butterfrees we've got, so that's something. Retreat cost of 1 is nice and low and opens up U-turn board, so there's a nice little bonus. Weakness to fire is not ideal because Welder is bringing around a lot of fire decks, and they will all be hitting you for weakness, boo hiss, etc. As for being a grass Pokemon, I mean, you've got healing with stuff like Life Forest Prism Star and the Shaman from Lost Thunder, or even Gardenia, though very few people tend to play that. So, could be worse. And we do actually have Netball, which lets you search out your basic grass Pokemon or basic grass energy, which is really convenient Because, I mean, it gets your basic grass Pokemon, which is awesome, but then it also gets your basic grass energy, so it's not a pointless card when you draw into it. No matter when you draw it during the game, you're going to be able to get some value out of it, and that's pretty gosh darn lovely. But what does it do? Well, the first attack, 1 grass energy, Panic Poison. 30 damage, plus burn, plus confusion, plus poison. And this is the best thing about this particular Butterfree. It's not much damage. You're not doing very much damage here. But then again, do you need to be doing very much damage here? I'm not entirely convinced you do. Remember, this isn't a stage 2 where you're having to either wait 3 turns or wait 2 turns while drawing into a rare candy to get it rolling. This is just evolve up whenever you feel like it. And 30 damage is alright, but then you've got burn. That's an extra 2 damage counters between turns. Flip a coin if heads, they're not burned. If tails, they still are. Plus confusion, if they want to attack, they got to flip a coin. If tails, the attack fails, they take 3 damage counters. Plus poison, they take an extra damage counter between turns. And now all of a sudden, it's not really 30. With the burn and poison, it's 60. Plus potentially more after their next turn. Plus the confusion, which could be more damage and stopping an attack, or is forcing them to get out the active. And actually, this is adding up to a lot of really fun stuff very, very quickly. And all of these special conditions have other things that you can do. With burn, you can use Weller Volcano Park, so if they flip heads, they're not getting out of burn. We've got 2 identical Infernapes other than typing that turn burn into 6 damage counters between turns, though it really does need to be pointed out that they're stage 2s. Without the cheating, you're probably not going to be able to use them. We've got the Toxicroak that came around in Sword and Shield that lets you, well, it essentially makes your opponent take an extra 2 damage counters between turns for poison. And actually, this is looking really quite nice. And then we remember that we've got a few Pokemon, probably the most convenient of which is the Alolan Grimer, the one from Team Up, that for 2 colourless energy has got Chemical Breath. 20 damage plus 50 more for each special condition affecting your opponent's active Pokemon. If they stay in the active, they will be confused, they will be poisoned. And there is, truth be told, if you don't have Weller Volcano Park down, only a 25% chance they'll still be burned. But then again, if you're using Alolan Grimer, you might want to think about using Weller Volcano Park. And then Grimer comes in for 2 energy, and remember we've got Twin Energy now, which will do the job very nicely, and does 170 damage. Plus whatever you did with Butterfree, plus the burn and poison, and if they stayed in the active, probably confusion damage. So the reality is, if they're still in the active when it comes back to your turn, they should have taken 4 from burn and 2 from poison, that's 6. If they stayed in the active, they've probably taken 3 from confusion, that's 9. So they've already taken 9. Alolan Grimer hits them for 170, that's 260. Plus an extra round of burn and an extra round of poison, that's 290, and that's every tag team except the bigger boys like Magikarp and Wailord. And that's every GX and every Pokemon V and none of the VMAXs. But that's a lot of stuff. And that's the thing, right? Your opponent is probably going to try and get out the active. But by playing Weller Volcano Park and Alolan Grimer, one of 2 things has to happen. You do 60 damage for a single energy and force your opponent to switch, or you essentially get to do 290 over 2 turns using Alolan Grimer and Butterfree. That's assuming your opponent flips tails on confusion. The thing is, even if they flip heads on confusion, they're still confused, they'd still take the burn damage, they still take the poison damage, you're still doing 260, and it's not that easy to do 140 and KO a Butterfree. I like this. I don't think it's great on its own, but I think as soon as you play Weller Volcano Park and Alolan Grimer, it becomes infinitely better. Now, as for the second attack, 2 colourless energy 80, yes, we've got Twin Energy, but let's not get too excited, it's not particularly great. Even with Twin Energy, I'm not getting excited. Fine if you desperately need to do 80, alright to be fair if you're hitting for weakness. Outside of that, don't expect me getting terribly excited. Now, as for the other Butterfree, we do have 2. The one from Hidden Fates, interestingly enough, when I did my end-of-year Pokemon Awards, as I tend to do, I actually awarded this card the worst card released last year. Because it's a stage 2, because of the weak stats, because of the one vanilla attack that doesn't do enough damage. Now, weirdly enough, it's actually quite a bit better now that we can evolve it up turn 1, but it's still 80 for 2 energy attachments on 130 HP stage 2. It is about as bad as Pokemon cards get. As for the Butterfree from Unbroken Bonds, I don't like Grass Double Colorless 70 damage, because no Grass 2 colorless, 80 damage on this new one. It's a terrible attack. But 1 colorless energy, search for free basics, attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like. Yeah. Actually, I do really like this. If you're playing another deck, this is really good. Like, if you're playing something else, and you're just using this Butterfree to accelerate energy, I'm actually all in favour of this. It's actually really quite good. So there we go. This is good. The one from Unbroken Bonds is good for accelerating energy. And I'm not going to pretend it's good for anything else. It is just for accelerating energy. And this new Butterfree is not particularly great, but you can evolve up straight away, and 30 plus burn plus poison plus confusion with just a couple extra cards starts looking really good really quickly. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give this... I'm giving it between 3 and 4 Wassies, and that feels a little bit generous, but I see this being a deck, I see this seeing play, I see this being good, so that's what I'm saying. But hey, I'd like to know what you think about it, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice, and then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassiePlays, where you can find out about a whole bunch of games that don't have Pokemon in, but are pretty gosh darned awesome. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.